Recently, the GLC, the Greater London Council, published a book, Do You Care About Historic Buildings? Well, the answer is yes. Lots of people do care about historic buildings. But it seems very strange that Lady Dartmouth, who was associated with the book, finds it impossible to do anything about this building. This was once a very, very beautiful building. Henry of St Albans bought the manor of Hampton in the 13th century, and the name of St Albans was probably in local usage long before the above property was said to have been given to Nell Gwent by Charles II. In the 19th century, it came into the hands of Theodore Corey. Mr. Corey decided that he would give this property to the people via the local council. You have to give it to a council to manage it. He did give it to them on the understanding that they would use it as a museum in memory of his wife and also for the benefit of the residents of this area. That was 9 years ago. This then is the result of 9 years' indifference, vandalism, and the weather. It's hard to say which one is the most responsible. I myself would say it lies with the authority in whose hands the building lays, and that the laws are not stringent enough to allow a building like this to be preserved. This is the building as it was in the spring of 1970, June, March, April, May or June. And this is what it's like in August 1970, a few months later. It shows that a council can get away with letting a building go to rack and ruin in 9 years. If this building had been preserved, or if they realized that they could not preserve it, it could have been sold in its original condition when it was immaculate for anything up to £100,000, which could have gone into the ratepayers' coffers. But no, here we have an age which is in conservation year, when we actually have a local council who have nothing really to say in defense of what they're doing, and yet they are in a position not to be answerable to anybody for this building falling into ruin. Everywhere I went, every window smashed. Ceilings ripped off. Fireplaces ripped out. The lead thieves had been. Even the roofs had been knocked off. What fun there must be in knocking a roof off, I have no idea. The moulded ceiling paper, they don't do it anymore. That's been taken off and trampled onto the ground. We won't see the like of that again, not without a great amount of expense. And of course, the vistas from this room, the pleasure given to the human mind, even in the state it was in, and standing and looking through broken windows, one could get an atmosphere of the great serenity which was available to anybody who lived in a building like this. As I wandered through these rooms one at a time, you get the feeling of the ghosts that still exist in a building like this. People had lived here, loved here, argued, fought, brought up children, spent Christmas by fires, opened Easter presents, shaved themselves on cold mornings. A whole world of human personality still remains in the building. And you only get this sort of feeling with buildings which have been kept in constant use over a long period. And this building, when I first went to it, I realized straight away, whereas the central one was Georgian, early Victorian, there were outbuildings which were of much older ilk. I even found a piece of old lead piping dated 1765. And the stark tragedy of a building like this becoming empty in itself is bad enough. Becoming disused, even worse. And then remorselessly let go to ruin. It's like watching somebody die before their time. And only, I think, the 20th century indifference to buildings could have allowed this thing to have happened. And man's whole desire is for beauty, you know. To couch beauty is progress, you know. And at this time, we're living in a blank age, a dark age, dreadful age. And it's going to depend upon people like me fighting all the time, even though they get nothing done, to keep alive the idea that there are potentials which are much better than the current standards of ideas.
Spike, what should the Richmond Council have done about a building like St Albans?
Sort of preserved it. Just look after it. So it's been given to them. You can't have an easier gift than that. Straight away, you're given a building possibly worth about 70 or 80,000, 100,000 pounds, free gratis. Now, if they didn't know what to do with it, it's in the first place they said, we don't know what to do with it, we don't know how to handle a property like this, they should have refused the offer, but they did accept it. And they've been waiting 4 years for all the deeds to go through. I suppose that gives them 4 years to say, well, it really wasn't ours for 4 years, but that's only crawling out to the trapdoor in your underpants to escape. No, the responsibility is entirely with them. This is their work.
We've got to get more telegraph poles to the square inch in Richmond.
Yes, I agree, we've got to get. I think that we should have a suppression on the penny rate. Here, 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 here.
And the drains in Richmond are very substantial drains. I would say that the Richmond drains are very, very superior to other drains.
Here, here.
I'd like to say that in my time here at the Hampton, ought to get these men all together for the building contracts.
Good, well said. Any other business? What? Oh. Oh. Yes. I think.
What about dog troughs? What's that noise at St Albans falling down?
12 hairy councillors sat 9 years round a table and practised local government, all solid, firm and able, and let St Albans fall apart, brick by beam by gable. And if this is conservation here, they've never heard of it, I fear.
Santa Claus, glory, Mother, it's getting hot in here, but we've got to do something about the hair bird.
There then, you've heard the brief story of our house, a beautiful house, falling into ruin. Let's hope the next time that these shutters are opened, it'll be on a more enlightening sea.